Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folari. Hope we meet you well. Today being the 1st of July, as we say locally, it's become something of a regular greeting. Happy New Month. Let me not be left out. We say that. We come from Happy New Year to Happy New Month. Some even go as far as Happy New Week. But anyway, it's great to be here as always. Now, 1st of July was supposed to be the day that Nigeria, electricity consumers in Nigeria would have started, how does one put it? Engaging, maybe that's the way to put it, engaging with a hike in the electricity tariff. Not just a minimal hike, as much as double was what we were thinking about. Well, the National Assembly, namely the leadership, both the Senate President and the House of Rep Speaker, have waded in along with their colleagues and have said that, look, let the matter be postponed for quite a number of reasons. You don't even need to be a student of economics or policy or government to know that these are the worst of times really to do something like this. Maybe the whole matter was planned way before now, but to try and implement it as per the agreement as of the 1st of July today. So if you were paying, somebody said, I pay 30K for electricity and I only have a 3-bedroom flat, well, it would have become somewhere in the region of 60K. And that's just a sort of a human example so you can understand it. Of course, it cuts right across to industry and all of that. Well, the discos, the distribution companies, they've been at the brunt of it all. In fact, all of this was, something that they had said was quite necessary. So as always, we get hold of the spokesman, Chief Sunday Odunta, to first of all give us his perspective and maybe sort of explain it a bit better, give us his perspective on, the whole thing and how workable it is going to be. We understand that it's one of those things we cannot escape. We're going to have to go up. Okay, we'll come to that in due course. But first, let's look at the leadership of the National Assembly.
And we believe that it's not the right time to increase the tariffs in the electricity sector today. Nigerians have a lot of challenges today because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the situation requires that we should do everything possible to make life easy for our citizens. And of course, government is doing a lot in this respect. We believe that the discourse should continue to engage with their consumers, find better cost-reflective tariffs. But before then, there must be some steps to ensure that the consumers are properly metered.
I think we're all agreed on an increase in tariff, cost-reflective tariff. But the timing is also very important. Sometimes even timing is more important than the policy decision that you make. And there's a saying that all the road to hell oftentimes is paved with good intentions. So the intention is good, but what about the timing? And I think we're all agreed now to suspend this for a while, tarry a while, get the buy-in of the people, explain to the people the reasons why this has to be done.
Okay, so there you have it, the two leaders in the National Assembly speaking on our behalf. Chief Sunday Odunta, good morning, sir, spokesman for all of the discos in Nigeria.
Good morning, sir.
Well, now, I'm happy that you're smiling because that's a good sign, because it was really at your behest that all of this was going to happen today. The new regime would have started off from today. And it seems that you're taking it in quite good faith, that all reasonableness, especially from the consumer's side, and as Gbajabiamila was saying, we're all agreed. There has to be, something has to be done, but this is not the best of times within which to do it.
Thank you very, very much. First, I want you to know that we as discos, we are a very sensitive industry. We know the yearnings and the feelings of Nigerians. The issue of tariff review, tariff adjustment, whether you are going to review it upward or downward, depending on the economic indices. The issue of that is on the lap of our regulator, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. That is their statutory duty. The only role we play is to submit our proposals. They now look at it, considering those economic indices like I mentioned, foreign exchange, lending rate, rate of inflation, and the situation in the country generally. They now decide, they then approve. They also choose the timing, the commencement date. And we need to commend them because their job is also difficult. Again, knowing what is going on in the country, having listened to our leaders, the National Assembly, in conjunction with us a while ago, we came out to suggest to the federal government that we should give Nigerians free electricity for 2 months. That didn't happen. It didn't happen because the federal government couldn't afford it. We all know the downward trend in the cost of crude oil and, of course, the revenue of the federal government. So that tells you that we listen to Nigerians. We also feel for them. We are also customers of several and different discourse. So what is going on? As you have heard from the President of the Senate and, of course, the Speaker of the House of Reps, Honorable Gbajabiamila, from that clip, you heard them saying we need to go and engage with our customers, and they too will be telling their constituents to let them know why tariff has to go up at some point. But this is not the right timing. For us, we will always align with their decision. We will always go with what Nigerians want. But Nigerians need to be reminded at every point in time that electricity is a product. It's not different from Fanta or Coca-Cola. It's not different from bread that we eat. Electricity has to be paid for at some point, whether we commence now, next month, next year, 2 years' time. Just remember, every minute that passes, there are shortfalls that are mounting up every day, every second. That's all Nigerians need to know. And for those that may come in and start putting everything at the lap of the discourse, yes, we are very sorry that you are not happy. We are very sorry for your frustration. We are very sorry that we are the only one that you see. But we have a duty to also inform you, to explain to you that indeed it takes more than a mother to be in the labor room and have a baby. When you now see a new baby and her mother, there's one father behind the curtain who did all those work in the bedroom before the baby came out, before pregnancy. That's why we have a value chain in this sector. We have generation companies, we have transmission companies, and of course we have the discos, and of course we have the gas suppliers. Those are raw materials. And of course, in the case of 3 power plants, Jeba, Shiro, and Kainji, those one, they rely on water. So we need gas, we need water. We pray that we can go into other types so that we can have mixed grid. Coal, of course, we can go into solar. But what we have is not enough. And that's what we are trying to explain. Talk is cheap. We are not going to talk for nothing. We are not just trying to make you angry. We are not happy that you are not happy. I'm not happy too. So okay. I want electricity too in Abeokuta.
Now, as you heard, the advice coming there from the leadership, both the Senate President and the Speaker, was along the lines of, look, as you said, we realize, and thank you for your graphic illustration, that you can consider electricity very much like a product, and it has its cost of production. And so people can't be unreasonable about what will be paid. But you have to engage. And you yourself have just said that you have no problem with that. Now, engaging with us is one thing. The proposals that you are putting out, because no doubt you are, business-minded, as the sector has to be, you are looking at a sort of a real cost, a true cost. And if that true cost comes to around double, in this instance, that is for now. It doesn't mean there will be no further look at it. If it's coming to a double the tariff rate, and you have so many defaulters, even when it is where it is now, that really points to almost the undoability of this particular project. When I say undoability, in the way that you and all of us would like, it's a big challenge, is it? Because as we are, we don't have reliable power supply. And Nigerians have come to learn that increasing the tariff does not mean there will be an increase in service delivery, an increase in efficiency. It's quite a challenge, the part about engaging with your consumers, isn't it?
Well, it is very challenging, particularly going by your last statement. Egmont, I beg to disagree with you that increase in tariff does not translate into increase in efficiency or increase in sufficiency. It does. When you have people paying the appropriate price for a product, that product can be produced more by the producer, the transportation cost will not be a problem, so that the seller can pay the transporter and pay the producer. But if we are not paying appropriately for the product will simply not be available. And I'm sorry, our friend from Arushuku, the very good man, Mr. Okorafor, on my last appearance on this program, he asked a question. He said, if Nigeria was to be a jungle and we're just starting Nigeria today, then how long will it take to power the whole of Nigeria? And I went on to explain all of these things. Number one, you have to look at population. A country that failed to plan has already planned to fail. And I'm not going to cast aspersion on our great leaders from 1960 till date. I can only say that perhaps some people did not advise our leaders well enough that electricity had to be built in accordance with your growing population. So you don't leave gap of many years without building a single power plant, and then you expect to wake up one day, press the button, and there's electricity. So we need to do a lot more.
But part of the challenge, Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong, part of the challenge, Chief, especially from the analogy you've just drawn, is that we don't have as much as we need so that we can be perhaps more efficient and economically viable with it. The result is that the meters that you do have, such few of them, it's not all Nigerians that demand meters that actually have meters, and if they don't have meters, then you can't be paid. Those that indeed are metered are actually picking up part of the tab for those that are unmetered, that are either stealing or enjoying a free ride. That's in the first instance. There are many, the catchment, which we've always talked about, it's a problem. We simply are not covered in a way for discos to be able to get the wherewithal to do very much along the lines that you are saying. Maybe you'd like to disagree or explain it.
I will always agree with you. For now, at discos, we are the one that are abused. Even this morning, somebody called us bastards. But we know that in this industry, there are 3 siblings born by the same mother, and we have fathers. The father of electricity today in Nigeria is President Buhari. That is the leader. The mother of this sector today is Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. And the siblings are generation companies, transmission companies, and distribution companies. But out of the 3 siblings, only one is known in public. The other 2 are Eleha. I don't know the English of Eleha.
The importer.
You see, because the one that have chosen whose face you can see, who come to you, the Omodo. We are the houseboy of the sector, the one that gives you bill. We are the one that people will always abuse. You don't mind, no problem. What we want is for there to be electricity. Now let's go to meter. I'll start with customer numbers, and we can check our figures. Nigeria has a population of about 204 million people, according to the World Bank, because we don't even have an accurate census. Okay. Out of 200, let's say 200 million people. Out of 200 million people, we don't have less than 32 million households, I'm sure more than that in this country, that are even connected to the national grid. Now, on our books, when we took over, we had barely 7 million customers. We've been able to drag more people into the basket, into the net. So what we have today is 10.4 million customers. Whereas we are very sure that there are not less than 25 million people who are using electricity in this country. At least 22 million people. So we have 10.4. Now, out of the 10.4 million people, only 8 million are active. The rest, we don't hear from them. They don't pay. No record of what they do. Out of the 8 million, only 4 million of them are metered. Of the 4 million that are metered, 50% of the meters are more than 10 years old, obsolete, non-effective, like the analog meters. Those ones are angry because sometimes we now have to give you a bill, even though you say you have a meter. But when you have just a box, like an old carburetor, when you buy a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes, the battery that comes with the car can never last up to 15 years. One day you need to change the battery. Meters have a lifespan of about 10 years. I'm explaining this before the callers start calling to abuse also, so I can understand. Now, meter is an instrument of measurement. It is important for people to be metered. When people are metered, they can measure what they consume. From our records, the people that are metered in our network, we have what we call revenue assurance. A few of them bypass their meters, but that we can deal with. That's why there are laws. But for those who are not metered, the other 4 million, those 4 million people who are not metered, they are very, very angry, and they are justified to be angry. You know why? When you take 4 million, don't forget where I started from. 22 people are using electricity. We know about 10.4. Out of 10.4, only 8 are paying. Out of 8, 4 million are not metered. It means that those 4 million are actually paying for some other 12 or more million people who are actually not paying. So they are angry, they are not happy, and we are not happy too.
One moment, Chief. One moment, Chief. Let me bring in Yinka, who is calling in from Jos. Good morning, Yinka.
Good morning, Uncle Yari.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
We have to thank you for the good job you are doing. This man you always bring to the networks. Is evil. The man is insulting the center of this country. He is always insulting the whole country as if he's the only one.
But
who know it
sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Looking at today's program, have you seen any such incident that you are concerned about, or any utterance this morning's program, sir?
No. This morning.
Nothing this morning, sir. Nothing this morning.
No, the one he did last week.
Sorry, sir. Oh dear.
The man is anytime he's on television. Television, it's always insulting this country.
But sir, today is another day.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Yori.
Okay.
If you don't want us to be phoning you, we stop phoning you. What we are saying,
go on, sir. Go on, sir. Go on.
All of us, we have.
Go on, please.
Before they buy this, before they buy the NEPA, before they buy this thing, they know we have not. Hello.
Yes, we are here. We can hear you.
Before they come in, they should have known the problem of the problem they are now talking of telling the country. You know that we have this thing. If you tell Nigerians, if you tell this country what they are contributed since they buy this, since they buy this NEPA, he only comes to television and come and defend his inefficiency. If the man is a Nigerian like us, if he will dodge everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for calling in. Well, okay, it looks like there was a bit of baggage that was coming, from outside of the program. It happens. But, to just, as it were, leave the emotionalisms and look at the substance of what Mr. Yinka has just said there. He seemed to be indicating that what investment have the discos actually done to be able to speak with any kind of righteousness, so to speak. In other words, he's querying that they're just sitting there. They haven't really increased value. And you talk about the value chain. Maybe you could look at that, Chief.
Well, I want to beg Mr. Yinka first to let him know that I'm a bona fide proud Nigerian. I'm an Egbaman from Ogun State, proudly an Egbaman by excellence. I will not come here to insult Nigerians. I need to explain things, and in explaining, he has a right to disagree, and we will agree, but there's no point for being malicious or having malice. I think we should just all look at how we can solve the problem. There's no point being emotional about it. What I'm trying to explain, if it doesn't make sense, you can come and say it does not make sense. But I appreciate what he said.
Yes, he wanted to know what you have to say about the level of investments that, in other words, words, what have you, never mind government, what have you as a group done?
I will explain that, but you can only appreciate that explanation if you follow the figure. Number one, we bought the disco for $1.4 billion cash. Anybody who has a problem or is not sure, you can check. After buying it, we have invested a lot of money in the network. In fact, we are where we are today because we have been able to invest in the network. But the investment that people talk about is not like a tap of water that you should just open it without measurement. The way the system works, we are constrained. We are giving maximum amount of money that we can reinvest, or else we will not be able to recover the cost. That is why we have the regulator. That's why we have this tariff component that we talk about, the multi-year tariff order. In that tariff, there is an allowable capex. Capex means capital expenditure. There's an allowable capex that you can spend on your network. So that is why you still see some people paying or buying poles or transformers. It is not normal. The only way those things can be removed is for us to recalculate it and increase the allowable capital, that is the amount of money we are allowed to spend. You cannot spend more than ₦1. You cannot spend ₦1 more than what you are allowed.
Okay, one moment, please. Let me bring in, one second. I know you probably haven't finished, but let me bring in Mr. Emmanuel calling in from Abule Egba. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Okay. I want to contribute concerning what the guest you brought in.
Sure.
He was saying. In this kind of situation, one cannot outrightly blame the man because he's a spokesperson for
Discos.
So he's just doing his job. But sometimes when we are talking, we should try as much as possible to also consider the masses. The last time Morayo brought into your view concerning the when they want to they were supposed to increase the tariff from today. I remember one of the ladies told him that did they consider that there was pandemic and some persons have lost their job and even some persons are struggling in this situation. And I remember he replied that that if those people are still eating, then they can actually pay. Because that tariff, that life is also a necessity like eating. And now that the National Assembly have intervened and they have reversed and it's coming today and saying that the disco are sensitive to the plight of the people. And another thing again, if you have not metered the people appropriately, secondly, there is no stable power supply, and you want to increase tariff, it doesn't translate to being sensitive to the plight of the people. That is my own contribution.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Okay, Chief Odutan, would you like to pick it up?
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Again, I also want to repeat, I apologize to Nigerians for the epileptic power supply. This is not something that is good for us as operators, and it's not good for the nation itself. When I was on your view, my sisters on your view can confirm this. One of them asked me, is it the right time? And I said, yes, I understand that the timing is a difficult time. And I joked with, I think, Tope, when I said, it's like asking, is it the right time for our children to eat? So that's what I said, and it was said in a lighter mood, and they understand that. We all laughed about it. But the truth of the matter is that I've said it earlier. We are not the one that choose the timing. That is the job of our regulator. Left to us, we know what we'll do. We will not go out. We wouldn't have come out to say,
well, yeah, but you made the proposal
for 2 months.
You made the proposal.
We say let's give Nigerians free electricity for. If we are that terrible, how can we come out and beg the federal government to let us give Nigerians free electricity for 2 months? So we will not willingly bring hardship to Nigerians. So it's not our job to fix the tariff, approve it, and choose the commencement date. That is nothing.
Okay, I wanted to ask a follow-up question, but that's been overtaken by Garba, who has called in from Makurdi. Good morning, Mr. Garba.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to your guests over there.
Indeed.
My question is that, Uncle Yori, what the discourse, you understand, has kind of put in place from the time they take over from NEPA to now?
Okay.
Let me ask you another question again. My transformer in my area, I'm 31 years now. Since when I was born, I'm seeing that transformer, and that transformer has given us problems to date. If something feels removed, we have to go and give those NEPA staff money, beg them at the same time, or pick them in our cars to come and fix it. That is 2. 3, the services that they are trying to hike, are we getting it? We're not getting it. Let them put their house in order. The gadget that they're using, you understand? The gadget that we are using since before I was born, this is the same gadget that we're using.
Okay.
And it's giving us problems every blessing day. And you are telling me that you are going to increase the light money? This is bad. If they can work on that, nobody will stop them for doing that. And aside from that, Okiori, for my area, to be honest, to be candid, I never see metering device in any house. Some of our neighbors go to the NEPA office with their money, 50,000, 30,000, and had paid money up to today. They didn't get the prepared meter.
Yeah.
So what are you telling me?
Yeah.
They should change in Nigerians. What they are doing is right. That's why you see Nigerians are emotional attacking him. Let me tell him that you have to be very careful. Honestly, if they mistakenly increase this hike without giving us proper services, I don't think they can walk out in the street of Nigeria. Have a nice day in Lagos.
Thank you very much for calling in. Now, quite frankly, we have been redirected by, the question of the last caller to what Yinka started off. And even as we've sorted out, hopefully, ironed out all the emotional wrinkles there. I think Yinka made that point first, and it's been made in this last conversation with this caller, that the discourse went into this with their eyes open and with the assumption that they could indeed handle this whole project efficiently. Now, what people are saying, and you have been explaining, and I'd like you to continue, is that they query whether you added any value, and that was what you were explaining. They say there's been no investment. You went into this with your eyes open, you collectively, and now you're just giving us all these explanations instead of giving us value. And they find it very, very difficult to see, as the last caller just said, how without a major hike in delivery, in productivity, how it will be anything less than a bitter taste in the mouth of most Nigerian consumers, electricity consumers. So please, would you like to pick up the thread of explaining to us the value that has indeed been added by the discourse that you represent?
Thank you very much, Uncle Yori. I know that the major problem in Nigeria today is the availability of electricity. So when people don't see electricity in their home, whatever you have done with your network down the road on their street, it is difficult for them to see it. Again, they are also right. Mr. Garba is very right. He was talking and speaking to the issue of network expansion, network renewal. That is part of what I said when I mentioned allowable capital expenditure. The only way things can be done properly is for us to review, for our regulator and for the federal government to allow the regulator to review holistically how much we are allowed to spend in our network, so that we can...
You know what, Chief Aduton, I've got to take a break now.
Yes.
And when we come back, I'm going to return to you because I want to understand this point that you are making about the allowable capital expansion. Is anybody holding your hands and saying, no, don't invest as much as you want to? That sounds a bit, ludicrous. But when we come back, you'll explain it a bit better. Please stay with us. Okay, welcome back, and it's like the deed has been averted. That is to say, the business decision that was taken, that electricity tariffs would be hiked, by which they meant it might go as high as 100% more, had been averted, because the National Assembly has come into the matter. NERC, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory, I believe it is it Commission or Council? NERC Commission, they, this could only be done at their instance. And our guest, who speaks for all the discos, is saying that none of this could have been done without the say-so of NERC itself. And there was a sense, I was reading an article some time back where Chief Oduton is reported to have, been a bit askance as to how can the NERC now be distancing itself from any of this. But events have overtaken whatever plans were made. They were probably made at a non-corona time. And now that we've been hit by this, it's even more biting. And Chief Oduton is, trying to explain the situation, because there's an outcry that we are not getting any better value. That's the way most Nigerians think. The line has been fed to the consumers that this is the only way for us to get that elusive quest of better, more reliable power supply. But Chief Oduton himself has spent about half an hour speaking about some of the gaps, some of the lapses. He's even explained it himself. Now, one criticism is that people are saying discos went into this deal with their eyes open as to what indeed it would take to do the job well. Now, they purported that they could do the job well. They were then, these matters were sold to them, and now all we're hearing is, stories as to why it can't be so. You, Chief Oduton, thank you very much for coming on and staying with us. You, Chief Oduton, have, explained that, well, there is something called a capital expenditure limitation. I want you to talk a bit more about that, so that the rest of us who are not, pros in that sector can understand what exactly that means. Is anybody preventing you from spending that which is necessary to do like other countries are able to do?
Okay. The law allows our regulator to fix the tariff of electricity. And in doing so, they have a very difficult and big job to do. The components of that tariff, they consider a lot of things. But to fix a particular amount, they have to also consider how much we are allowed to spend on capital expenditure. The primary purpose of doing any business is cost recovery. So you cannot spend whatever is not allowed in your tariff. So for instance, if your tariff is 30 naira, just for instance, and after considering everything that goes into it, what people are going to pay is going to be 30 naira. If all that they can allow you to spend on capital expenditure is within that 30 naira, and it comes to, say, 2 billion naira a year, if they allow you 2 billion naira a year per disco, out of that 2 billion, you need to buy transformers, repair, buy new one, renew your network. You need to, when we're still in charge of meters, maybe you need to buy meters and all of that thing. If the cost of things that you need to buy goes to as much as 100 billion, it means that year you can only do 2. But if you spend over 2 billion, you are not allowed to do that. You can never recover it. So you have to spend within the limit of what is allowed. But let me speak for NAC.
Well, sorry, one moment, sir, because Uche has come in since then in Bonny Island. So let me add Uche's observation or comment to what you want to speak about. Good morning, Uche.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, just want to appreciate you for this program. Of course, I've been a regular caller on your program.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will say that I hope that our voice will eventually be heard, since we don't have a fair way of representing ourselves. So we could possibly be using this medium for now. My point on this, before I go to, number one, is that we should be able to match service delivery with cost. That's a problem we have. We don't have a system that measures with cost. You just come and you have something. For you to effectively measure what they should have a system that measures the service that Disco is offering in relation to the cost they are billing the people. That is one. I have to now go to a kind of what I want to talk about. I think Nigeria, we operate like a kind of an organization without any objective. From the government to the bottom, we seem not to have any objective. We seem not to have any master plan. We operate like this what we call prodigal son. Whatever comes in with squander is the prodigal son of the Bible. We usually talk about Nigerian government operate prodigal children. Whatever comes in, we have a lot coming in, but instead of investing and seeing a way forward, we are squandering it by the day. If you ask them what in their budget apportionment, what their passion for disco or electric power and how it is spent, nobody will account for it. That brings us to lack of accountability. Nobody can be held accountable for anything we do. We don't have continuity system. My brother was saying, did this come out saying that right from, he was mentioning several years, about 60 years, how many years ago. What have we done to ensure that kind of demonic continuity of unproductivity is halted? What have we done? We keep on moving in that chain. The next government will come, they blame the past government. Nobody has just been able to step out to say, no, we have to change this whole system. So way forward for us, I think we have to look at number one. I believe that any nation that want to grow, the first and primary fundamental thing to look at is power, supply. Every other thing hinges on power supply. As a matter of fact, power is just like when God said, let there be power, let there be light. And everything was founded on the availability of light. And that is how it should be. Nation, personal development, infrastructural development, and everything should be founded on your supply.
Okay.
So if Nigeria is not ready to give light, very soon we eat what we have in stock, we eat up everything that our oil is giving to us, and we become beggars to other nations, like the prodigal son.
Thank you very much.
Number two,
Uche, I've got to interrupt you now. Forgive me for doing so. I've got to free the lines up for other people who might like to call in. Thank you very much, Uche, for your call, because there's a lot that we can take from the comments that you made. Now to turn to you, Chief Oduton, the explanation you're giving about the maximum expenditure, capital expenditure allowable. The way I understood it from your explanation is that, having done all the sums in the profit and the loss and what is available for development, is the way I understood it, that you are hamstrung. You can't do much more. As you explained, if the allowable from when you've done all your sums comes to 2 billion, and what the bill for an ideal case scenario is about 100 billion. Well, for this particular year, you can't have done more than the 2 billion. Did I sort of get the understanding right? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yes.
I see. So it's not about anybody not allowing. It's about the tariff, the receivables, what they allow.
Yes. If they do an adjustment in tariff, allowing us to spend more, then the tariff will go up. If we want to keep the tariff down, then the service will go down. So in terms of what have we done, because a caller asked, and it's only fair for me to explain.
Yes, you want that particular
When we took over these entities, let me start from the efficiency of staff. Let me begin by saying that as of now, we're still not efficient enough, but we move on from where we took over on the 1st of November 2013. As of today, the workforce that are doing the work of 34,000 people are now no more than 25,000 people and doing more. We have more qualified staff now.
Yeah, because the staff, people have said that the staff are nothing new. They just were people that shifted from the old NEPA into the discos.
We have a mix of staff that we inherited, and we also have staff that we have taken on board. Today, we have better quality of staff from middle level up in all the discos in terms of exposure, experience, and qualification. So that's one. Number two, there's something called losses reduction or loss reduction. They call it aggregate technical, commercial, and collection losses. I don't want to bother people with technicalities. What it means is that we were required to reduce our losses. In part of the challenges, we've been able to manage to reduce losses from the days of NEPA when it was 52%. Now we brought it down to an all-time high low of 43% national average. That's one. Number two, we have.
When you talk about losses, are you talking about wastages in the electricity channel?
Losses.
Those are the
yes.
losses.
Technical losses means how you lose electricity while it is traveling. That is the equipment. We've been able to renew equipment. If not, we can't go from 50 to 43. Commercial losses means having people connected to the grid, people that we don't know. We have moved from 7 million to 10.4 million, and we're still doing it every day. Collection losses. Today, we have an all-time high 67% collection efficiency. That never happened during the NEPA time.
Okay, 1 second, please. Let me bring in Jide in Korodu, who has been holding on for a while. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for bringing in this program today. And please, I want you to help us ask these disco people, what is the length of the addition they make to the system since they came in?
Oh, haven't you been with us? That's what he's busy explaining now.
Sorry, sir, because I'm from Okitipupa in Ondo State. For the past 15 years, we don't even have power supply in that place. Head has been cut off from the grid. And up to now, they don't even think of even giving supply to that area, Okitipupa, Irele, and all those areas. Even the little consumers they have, instead of this coast to expand and get more consumer in, they are trying to make the little they met on ground by increasing tariff all the time, increasing tariff. Let the TVC crew go to transmission and do investigative journalism. You will see that these people, they are even rejecting load from transmission. They are rejecting load. They don't want to give supplies to Nigeria. They don't want to supply us. They don't want to give us light.
Okay.
Please, let them, I don't know, with these people in charge of power supply, we can never get regular power supply in Nigeria because they are not ready to work. They just want to make Nigerians thinking of how to increase tariff all the time. Why? Increase tariff in darkness?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jide. Thank you very much, Mr. Jide, for calling in. Appreciate your call because, you know, it is what it is. You are a Nigerian and you're here and you're in the middle of it. Chief Oduton, you were speaking much earlier in the first half of the program about this whole electricity chain being a family kind of a thing, but people see only one particular member of the family. There is the father, there is the mother, there are siblings, but there's only one child. You made that analogy earlier. So there's a sense in which, do you think that you are being made the whipping boy? That is the Disco's collective. Is the Disco collective being made a whipping boy?
Of course. We are the whipping boy in the sector. We are the one that people abuse, but we understand how Nigerians feel. Until every layer in the value chain do their own, until Nigerians also play their own part. When people talk about us not being good, can you please look beside you there and check what's going on in Magodo? If you go to Magodo, if you go to Shonibaya Estate and some places where people pay premium to get premium service, that means they're paying the appropriate tariff. We are able to buy specially from the producers. So the problem has to do with the cost of production. And we can take it
sorry, sir. At that point, we've talked about it before on this program, but it's interesting that you return to it as an example. In Magodo, Lagos, southwest of Nigeria, where we're operating, where we're broadcasting from, the example has been made, and you're reiterating it, of a bunch of consumers getting together and saying, we agree, go ahead and hike the price. Tell us what it is. We'll come to an agreement. We'll pay the price, which is way above, I imagine. Is it way or just slightly above the national average? And those people are actually reporting that they don't have a bad experience with power supply at all. In fact, they have a good experience. Now, from that, are you saying that, is it not coming from the cash, the cash of electricity, if I can put it like that, that is meant for the generality, that is now being diverted here because you people are paying? You people are paying, so take.
No.
How does it work?
Let me give you a simple example.
Sure.
Egbin power plant is the largest in West Africa. They have 6 turbines, and they have never ever been able to operate all the 6 turbines due to this issue of cost and, of course, lack of gas, the issue of raw material and cost of gas. Okay, when we have special customers, what we do is that, okay, we go to the producers. We need X amount. They are ready to pay now. This is their money. Give us the quantum electricity for them. We are not diverting from other normal customers to these premium customers. No. What we are doing, we are buying premium to supply premium.
Okay. I hear you.
If you have a bread
now that
seller,
you've answered that, and I know there's some more, but let me quickly bring in Victor in Ikirun, calling in this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Thank you. I just want to say something to this the disco spokesperson.
Yes.
From what he's saying, it seems as if you pay the piper to take the tune. Because 50% of what he's saying, he knew directly it can't happen. Look at what he's saying concerning spending so amount of money in a particular period of time. That means the disco, they are waiting for our money before they can use to expand. I want to use my hand as an example. For instance, we have problem with our transformer in certain area. Now, instead of NEPA to come and change the transformer, they will not come unless people in the area will not be contributing money before they can get the transformer. If you like me to telecommunication, we have mass in the same area. If anything should happen to the mass, without even calling the NTN or Globacom, they will come there, they will fix the mass because they knew that if the mass is not in the right place, they will not be able to get money. But nobody don't do the same. And this is why he's telling us the budget, they cannot spend more than what they budgeted for. That means they don't have money. They are waiting for this our money before they can do anything.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Victor.
That is what the man is saying.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Is that indeed what you are saying, Chief Sunday Oduton? Because bearing in mind everything that Victor said and his analogy.
That's not what I'm saying. Mr. Victor is very wrong. I will explain why he's wrong. When we're talking about computation of tariff, we're talking about a preparation that determines how the component of the pricing goes. We are not waiting for any cash. It's not about what we are waiting for.
But you were talking about maximum capital expenditure allowable.
I'm saying that the allowable is an event that is continuous at the period of that tariff, as long as that tariff is in place. And I'm saying that allowable capex means that you cannot spend outside of it. If you do, you cannot recover your costs. The purpose of TVC being a station today is because they are able to recover their costs. And by the way, let me say something. One of your senior executives in TVC lived in one of those estates with a customer in Magodo. He told me the last time I came that he doesn't use his generator again. He's there with you in TVC, a very top management staff. Now, my brother from Ikirun, I'm happy he didn't call to say there are no lights in Ikirun. Oshogbo, Ikirun, Ede, and the neighboring towns have loads of electricity. One of the greater leakages we have in Osun State occurs around Ikirun, Oshogbo, and Ede. I know this for a fact, not only because I was a staff of Ibadan Disco before, but because we have all the records and the data with ANED. Now, the problem with this speaks to the same thing. I want to believe that our brother is a very good Nigerian. Maybe he pays and he carries out his own responsibility. But you see, when you have loads of debts in a particular neighborhood with a transformer, when there's a problem with that transformer, we always go back to them to beg them that, yes, we'll fix it. It's our responsibility to do so, but please pay your outstanding.
Okay.
And Nigerians don't like hearing that.
Yeah, okay.
We did that in
let me bring in Samuel, calling in from Apapa. Good morning, Mr. Samuel.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling. Quickly, go ahead, please.
Right, sir. Yes, sir. I'd like to know the issue of disco. Like, for instance, now, in the disco in the Benin area, because in that area comprises Ondo, Ekiti, and district. But in that area, they give a particular house. When they see they come to your house, they give your house, the people in charge there, that this house will be spent so amount of a month, without no ministry, no anything, just for them to say, okay, this house, a house without anything, giving them if I thought they want to increase their tariff, let them give every house, let them have their own meter. In fact, I think that should be the best thing for them, before they can increase the tariff.
I got to, sorry, I'm very, very sorry. You've made your point, Mr. Samuel. I've got to let go of you because we're fast running out of time. Chief Sunday Oduton, there are also many points.
I want to thank Mr. Samuel.
Very, very briefly,
I want to thank
please.
him very much.
Very briefly.
Because what he has said is exactly what we are saying. What we are saying is that every Nigerian household should be metered. Discos are not directly in charge of metering anymore since the last over 2 years. And
so this is a battle that's going to, this is a quote-unquote battle that's going to continue, because whether now, whether tomorrow, whether, as you said, at the beginning, we're going to have to increase this. And from what you've said, Nigerians are hurting and are angry that they think that you haven't, actually, when I say you, corporate you, haven't really contributed in terms of value. You're waiting for our money in order to do your work. I know you can't really address it effectively because you have just a few seconds.
Okay. We are not waiting for your money to do our own duty. We also say that everybody needs to be metered so that there will not be argument about estimated billing.
Okay.
Let us appeal to the federal government to take ownership of this through the central bank, bring in meters, give it to Nigerian free of charge, program the cost of meter into that meter, they will pay over time, so that when people are metered, they can measure what they use.
Thank you very much, Chief Sunday Oduton. I've got to leave it there. Spokesperson for all the discos in Nigeria. Not many will envy you your job, but you said you understand. Thank you very much for coming on the program. And so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folani. Bye-bye for now.